How do we keep getting all these calls correct? Guys, this is just ridiculous at this point. The insiders within the market are confirming our idea, our timeline, so to speak. Justin from Cointelegraph. European Central Bank cuts interest rates to 2.25%. So, one part of the world, which they are major, are cutting rates still, right? That's actually mind-baffling because what about the Federal Reserve, which means they will cut rates sooner rather than later. This is where it gets odd. And this is where we're going to bottom out and pump, guys. Okay? The pump will begin when we start seeing the Fed change their tune. Listen to this. This is the Fed Watch tool. Okay? The next FOMC happens in 19 days. So, May 7th is the next FOMC date. The current range, the current interest rate is 425 to 450. Okay? Now, in the next meeting, the market believes that the Fed will keep pause. Okay, will not do anything. They're just going to keep the rates level, okay, where it's at right now. But this is where it gets interesting. Look at the next date, when it's being held. The next FOMC meeting, guys, by the Federal Reserve, the main puppet of the system. June 18th strikes. What date? What date did you just say? Don't make me laugh. Do not make me smile. Literally, the next date for the FOMC is June 18th. What is that? That's our timeline. That's the beginning of the month of Soul, where the sun shines. Okay? And this is where the markets is saying, well, the Fed has to cut by, or will cut by that date, June 18th. A 54% chance, right? Now the higher this goes, let's say it's at an 80% chance, guys, it's probably confirmed at that time the Fed will cut rates, right? That will be the pivot point, which is odd because we stated to watch out for that month to July 15th. Okay, so we just have to watch out, guys. But this is crazy because the European Central Bank is like foreshadowing what the Fed is about to do, right? But the Fed may be waiting for something nuclear to go off. Coinbase Institutional warns that a crypto winter is coming. So that's not a good sign from Coinbase Institutional. Now here comes Donald Trump's talking about the Fed, okay? And what needs to happen here for us to pump, right? Because we have been in a downtrend for months since December, when XRP topped out. Trump says the European Central Bank is expected to cut interest rates for the 7th time, and yet too late, or quote unquote too late. Jerome Powell of the Fed, who is always too late and wrong, yesterday issued a report which was another and typical complete mess. Oil prices are down, groceries, even eggs are down, and the USA is getting rich on tariffs, right? Which is why the Fed issued a report, guys, in messes in quotes, okay? Now, which is really, I guess, not the case, right? Since oil prices are down, groceries, are they really though? I don't know, guys, to be honest. Honestly, I don't think so. I think they're still high. You guys think they're down? No, I think they need to come way more down, right? Looking at these grocery prices, I don't know, but it feels like they're expensive still. Maybe they are down. Well, they are down from before, right? Because inflation has gone down. But talking about 5 years ago or something, guys, the prices were completely different. If I'm not daydreaming, but too late should have lowered interest rates like the European Central Bank long ago, but he should certainly lower them now. Powell's termination cannot come fast enough, right? So Trump is signaling and asking, literally begging the Fed, Jerome Powell, to cut rates, right? But he's not budging, guys. The markets and the insiders are believing that by June 18th, our target month, they'll cut rates, right? Maybe something happens by then for the Fed to pivot, right? Because the Federal Reserve did say, hey, we have the finger on the trigger, right? As soon as I'm guessing they're waiting for an explosive black swan to occur, they're just going to press that button and print so much money. But that's the game plan here, guys. They want to collapse it all. President Trump wants or says that if he wanted the Fed to be out, he'll be out of there real fast, right? So here's the video. I don't think so, though, right? I don't think so.
Jerome Powell, you said that the termination of Jerome Powell cannot come fast enough. He says he won't leave even if you ask him to.
Oh, he'll leave. If I ask him to, he'll be out of there. But I don't think he's doing the job. He's too late, always too late, a little slow, and I'm not happy with him. I let him know it, and if I want him out, he'll be out of there real fast, believe me.
Number one, he's not going to be out of there real fast, because even he said it's impossible for him to get fired, supposedly. Now look at this. He said the Fed is always too late. Too late, you say, Trump? You're right. You're correct. Are they going to be late this time is a real question, right? Are they trying to wait till the markets tank and then they're going to save it? Someone did say, hey, they said extra VOD, you've become more bearish since, the exchange stuff that happened. Not necessarily. You know why? Because this was our path from the year 2023, 2022, 2024. Years ago, we stated that there are three options. Option A, I know you guys weren't probably here, but then option one is for us to pump until the collapse. We were thinking this was an option, but to be honest, it kind of changed, right? Option two, collapse right now, least likely. But then the third option was the most likely, in our opinion, which is pump. The recession occurs, then pump again. You guys remember this or no? Right? So people are saying I'm bearish. Well, because we said that this was the game plan from years ago, right? Until I'm going to become bullish when the Fed changes their stance. That's it, right? Because they control the markets. They control the narrative, the algorithms, and all that stuff, guys. Now, Powell makes a joke about his term feeling endless. He talks about the independence of the Fed, and we are never going to be influenced by any political pressure. Look at that. He doesn't care what Trump says, guys. Wow. They really want the markets to tank, right? But we'll see, though, because maybe this is a grand show. Trump and the Federal Reserve will work in tandem to destroy the United States dollar. Remember, the beef is a show for the plebs. They need to destroy the old system to bring in a new tokenized system, Phoenix style. Trump has called for lower rate cuts and will next call for narrative rates or negative rates. Oh my lord, what do we think? Right? Something is definitely brewing, but again, the bottom is clear when the Fed starts printing. Why? Because that was the 2020 bottom. Remember when cryptos, this is so bizarre. When cryptos dumped because of 2020, well, this was the path right here. So it dumped, went like this, pumped crazy to 14K. I remember then the 2020 event happened. Then guess what happened after? Bam. The reason why this happened in the first place was because of money printing. Why? The market's being propped up by fake money. Right? So if you want to know when the bottom will happen, to be exact or to be for sure guaranteed was when that happens. Now, Christine Lagarde, while the head of the IMF, seated near Mark Carney, was calling for a reset. We're living through it right now. Who is she? The wise owl, head of the ECB, if I'm not mistaken, as well, who just cut rates.
My last R is reset. We're seeing as necessary going forward a reset in the area of monetary policies. We believe that quantitative easing and the accommodating monetary policies that have been adopted so far should be continued up until such point where growth is well anchored in those economies, and this is not yet the case everywhere. Reset in the sense that once it is well anchored, then those accommodating monetary policies have to be reformulated, have to move either back into their old territories or be more traditional or be maybe of a different kind, and I'm sure central bankers around here will be able to comment on that, but that's first reset. Second reset is the one that Mark is I hope, going to talk about, which is the financial sector reform and regulatory environment that is clearly undergoing a major reset at the moment. And the final reset, which is my last word, Martin, is those structural reforms that are necessary in all corners of the world. Very often people think structural reforms, okay, for some of those advanced economies that have such rigid labor markets. No, it's not just that, and I'm not sure that I would necessarily associate advanced economies with rigid markets, nor would I mark flexibility as the ideal solution for it. But structural reforms are needed in product markets, service markets, but they're also needed in emerging market economies, where structural reforms can take a completely different form from those that I've just mentioned. And they have to do with bottlenecks in certain countries, they have to do with proper governance, and they certainly take multiple forms, including that of unleashing the potential that is there, but that is still constricted by a lot of licensing right, protective barriers, and so on and so forth. I've finished with my 3 Rs, the most important one of the 3 being the one that I've not commented on, but that you have eloquently commented on, which is R for recovery.
Yeah, just die. I mean, what are they waiting for, right? How long are they going to take to completely reset the system? Does anybody know, right? Like, what are they waiting for? What type of celestial event? What? For a specific date? Month? Year? Time? Second? Right? Are they looking to the stars, looking for a specific signal? Maybe. I don't know, guys. I don't know, right? I don't know, but it's coming. The game plan, the timeline is clear. When the Federal Reserve cuts rates, starts printing, we pump. This will be the final pump before the collapse appears, right? That's the trajectory. We're right now in this area. And this is the area where a lot of people will get tricked. Don't let it be one of you. Not financial advice, to say the least. But anyways, that's how face Mason is. See ya.